Nagaratna madam, I am Dr. Rudramurthy here. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. It's audible now. Yeah, there was some problem earlier. Yes, sir.
Okay.
We can start.
I request the participants to inform other participants to join the session soon. Our resource person is ready. Good morning with warm greetings from Siddhganga Institute of Technology to all the participants. We are entered into the day 2 of session 1. I hope you all enjoyed the last previous 3 sessions. And today's session, it is my immense pleasure to invite our resource person, Dr. Nagaratna A, Associate Professor in the National Law College, University, Bangalore. And the madam is well experienced and she is very busy. And when we requested madam to be with us as one of the resource persons for this ongoing ATAL workshop, in spite of our busy schedule, madam accepted our request and she is with us today to deliver the session on Indian crime laws. So I think we all will enjoy. And madam, I extend a warm welcome on behalf of Siddhganga Education Society and on behalf of Siddhganga Institute of Technology faculty, on behalf of faculty and students. I extend warm welcome to you to this session, madam. I will hand over this session to Madam Dr. Aparna, Professor in the Department of Information Science Engineering. And madam will introduce, I request madam to introduce our resource person to the participants.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, madam. Yes, madam. Yes.
Okay. So, dear participants and my dear colleagues, good morning, one and all. It's my immense pleasure to introduce the resource person for today's sessions, Dr. A. Nagaratna. Dr. Nagaratna is an associate professor of law, chief coordinator for Advanced Center on Research, Development and Training in Cyber Law and Forensics, National Law School of India, University, Bengaluru. She secured first rank in both BAL in 1997 and LLB in 1999, both from Bangalore University, and is awarded with 5 gold medals in LLB. She has completed her PhD in medical negligence from Gulbarga University in the year 2012. She is currently pursuing her postdoctorate study on cyber crime investigation and prosecution from National Law School of India, University, Bangalore. She is qualified UGC NET for lectureship and was awarded UGC Junior Research Fellowship in 2002, and she has rich experience in teaching. Her subjects of interest include criminal laws, cyber laws, and cyber forensics and medical laws. She has undertaken training on cyber forensic, including hard disk analysis, mobile forensics, network forensics, and live forensics from CDAC Thiruvananthapuram in 2015 and 16. As a chief coordinator for Advanced Center on Research, Development and Training in Cyber Law and Forensics, she has designed and conducted various training programs on cyber laws and cyber forensics, conducted various awareness programs to the stakeholders of cyber laws and cyber security, undertaken policy-based research works. She has also coordinated several training programs, designed and conducted the advanced certified course on cyber crimes, cyber laws, and cyber forensics for CPI officers in 2016 and 17. She was selected for the International Visitor Leadership Program on linking digital policy to cybercrime law enforcement, U.S. Consulate Office in 2017 by the U.S. Department of State's Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs, U.S. Department of State, Washington, D.C. She was a fellow of Shastri Indo-Canadian Fellowship, Shastri Mobility Program for the year 2017-18, under which she visited Winnipeg, Canada as a visiting research scholar and delivered many lectures. She has the experience of working with various external committees and institutions. And as a part of it, she has worked in many of the organizations. She is a member Interoperable Criminal Justice System and member of expert panel to set draft BAS national standard and data privacy since 2016. And she is a member faculty of law, Bangalore University since 2015. She is a member of an expert panel constituted by Ministry of Women and Child Welfare, State Government, Karnataka. Madam has edited 4 books on cyber laws and has authored chapters on cyber crime laws. She has published books, several articles, and contributed chapters to various international and national books. Her research projects, Patients' Rights under Consumer Law and Terrorism Laws of India, are published by the Karnataka Institute for Law and Parliamentary Affairs, Government of Karnataka. She has reviewed 2 books for Oxford University Press and Cambridge University, respectively. She is the member, Editorial Review Board, CMR Journal of Innovation and Research, an internationally peer-reviewed journal. I would like to quote that Madam is very dynamic and enthusiastic, and she has credit of serving as a member of several organizations and various bodies. To list a few, she is an honorary member of American Library, U.S. Consulate General, Chennai, India, life member of South Asian Society of Criminology and Victimology, India, life member of Indian Society of Criminology, India, member of All India Law Teachers Congress, India. So she is a regular resource person on criminal laws and cyber laws and related issues at various training courses and programs conducted in the university and various other training institutes. So this is just a brief introduction of Dr. A. Nagaratna Madam. So with this brief introduction, I wholeheartedly welcome Dr. Nagaratna Madam for today's sessions of the workshop. In the first session, she will be enlightening us on Indian cyber crime laws, an overview. So Madam, it is our honor to have you as the resource person for today's sessions, and I request you to take over the session. So thank you one and all. Madam, it is over to you.
Okay. Yeah. Very good morning to one and all. Am I audible?
Yes, madam, you are audible, madam.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Thanks for that introduction. Generally, in law, we say if the case is weak, the introduction will be too long. I hope that doesn't turn out to be true today. I hope to keep the sessions meaningful, as well as interactive, so that it's a mutual learning process since we all of us are teachers. So I assume all of you are from non-law background, not from law background. So I'll try to keep it as fundamental as possible, at the same time trying to also achieve the object of this FDP program. Thank you, sir, for in fact dedicating one entire day for learning on legal aspects, because cybersecurity is one domain which can't be understood unless we give equal emphasis on both technology as well as law-related aspects. I just shared a slide.
Yes, madam.
Give me a second. Okay, is the slide visible?
Yeah, madam. It is visible, madam.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so let's begin. So as I said, since most of you are not from law background, I'll try to explain the terms that I'm using. I'll not use complicated terms, but if I'm using, I'll definitely explain that. Right. So I think yesterday you would have discussed about a lot of technical issues. The next few days you are also discussing about technical issues. But let's see how law takes note of this and how this should be integrated with the law. Now, why is cyber law important and how did this evolve? So basically, I'm sure all of us do understand that we are relying a lot on this technology, and reliance on this technology itself indicates that this is extremely an advantageous technology. Today, in fact, FDP is happening online because of the benefits that we get from this technology. So, and then when we started depending on this technology, we also saw that there was an expansion of e-commerce transaction as well as e-governance related transaction. So therefore, this huge reliance on this technology led to changes in the law, led to development of a branch of law called cyber law. So initially people were saying, at least some experts in the field of this law were saying, why do you need a separate law to take care of cyber crimes or to, take care of the usage of technology? So isn't the existing law enough, the existing criminal law and all? But there was another school of thought which felt, no, this is a new technology, so it's possible that new forms of crimes will emerge. So therefore, there was a need felt to have a separate law to deal with cyber technology. So what we today have is a combination of newly enacted laws, only to look at cyber technology, and along with some laws which were already there. Some of you might definitely know that when a crime takes place, we apply Indian Penal Code. So Indian Penal Code is the Indian criminal law, which was enacted in the year 1860. So it's a very old law. But even today, when crime takes place, we apply IPC, the Indian Penal Code. So along with some sections of IPC, some provisions of IPC, today we also apply the newly enacted cyber laws, which largely is covered under Information Technology Act. So this is how the law has emerged. Now there might be a question as to why this law had to emerge. It's not new that just because there is a change in technology, a new law has come. This has always been the case in our society. So even before, sir.
Madam, I request you kindly to zoom this PPT slide, madam. Theater mode. Yeah.
Yes, sir, I'm doing
That's true,
right.
sir. Your PPT is not shared, madam.
Yes. Okay. Madam, I request you kindly to share your PPTs, madam. There is a share screen is there.
I've done that, but I'll again recheck.
Madam, enable slideshow, madam.
Is it fine, sir?
Yes,
madam. Now it is okay.
Okay, yeah. So this is anyways the first slide I was on. So, so every time we've seen that when there is a change in science affecting the society, so law has also undergone changes. And this is not just new with cyber technology. So since we're all like teachers from engineering and other technical institutes, we know like there is another branch of law called IPR law, intellectual property law, which is also a result of changes that happened in science and technology. Similarly, environmental law, because of changes in environmental science. So like this, so every time there's been a change in society because of expansion of science and technology, changes that happen because of scientific and technological innovations. So different law has emerged, different branch of law has emerged. So few more examples, space law is there, air law is there. So like this, you have many laws. So when it comes to cyber technology, so today we have a law which looks at both promoting usage of cyber technology as well as regulating abuse of cyber technology. Right? Now, why do we have to take care of this abuse of technology? So we all understand that with this technology, which is very, very advantageous for various good purposes, has also turned out to be advantageous to criminals. So they've started using this for commission of crimes and all. So therefore, there is this whole question of cybersecurity. So chances of abuse of this technology cannot be ruled out. So just few examples. So again, since this is all like something that we every day hear in our day-to-day life or through media and all, so we'll definitely know the kind of crimes that are getting committed. But I'll just pick up few examples to understand the nature of crime. But before that, the question is, who is the possible victim of a cyber crime? So the victim of cybercrime can be any. It can be you, me, it can be a minister, it can be a highly educated person, it can be an illiterate person, and especially the ones who are using this technology, including the mobile phone, can be the potential victims if we do not take care of security concerns. And it is not just we as individuals who can become victims, institutions can also become victims. So a lot of cases indicating how educational institutions have become victims of, say, hacking, defacement, or many other institutions, companies, industries. So they can also become victims of cybercrime. So therefore, institutions are also victims. And then thirdly, even state can become the victim. So we've seen how immediately after Pulwama attack, so Pakistan, a lot of people in Pakistan were alleging that Indians were hacking their computers. So similar allegations were also made by Indians, on different occasions. So institutions as a state is also not spared. So anyone can be a victim. Again, when it comes to individual, as I was mentioning earlier, it has nothing to do with our educational qualification, because sometimes you've seen extremely highly educated people have become victims of online financial frauds. So maybe unknowingly I end up sharing sensitive information, CVV number on the debit card, or passwords. So and then I become a victim. So therefore, victim can be any, and the accused can also be any, because of the way the law has been termed. This is what you will understand once we go through the provisions. So sometimes knowingly or unknowingly, we end up committing the wrong. So that's because of how the law treats the usage of this technology. So again, another issue is when it comes to the accused need not always be a technical expert. He can just be the one who has a mobile phone or a computer and who just knows to, how basically to handle it. So there are cases where even uneducated people were found, at least alleged to have found, of having committed offense of sending obscene contents, offensive messages. So anyone can be the accused. It has nothing to do with his technical understanding or educational qualification. So that makes this crime an extremely unique crime, unlike other crimes where you're able to profile an accused, where you're able to profile a victim. But when it comes to cybercrime, it's hard to profile. Few examples to show how any institution can become a victim. Just 2 days back, the news that Big Basket customers' data has been breached indicates how, apart from those customers, Big Basket as an industry has become a victim of cybercrime, at least of data theft. Similarly, the example that's there on this slide is about 2 incidences that had happened in relation to Indian Airlines, where some of the employees were found of selling tickets to people who did not exist because they had manipulated the computer system. So this is an example of how an institution like airlines can become a victim of cybercrime. Similarly, individuals can become victims of cyber crimes. It can, as I said, it can be you, me, it can be any. So there are cases of how people have become victims of financial frauds. Sometimes, in my name, somebody else is doing illegal activity, but I get trapped when there is investigation. So like this, individuals can also become victims. And in post-Pokhran test, we saw how even institutions like Baba Atomic Research Center was not spared. So a lot of incidences of hacking that took place. See, earlier days, hackers intention was just to show their skill, or at least to show that your system is vulnerable. But nowadays, most of the hackers are behind sensitive data because data has become extremely valuable. So you can see that there's a change in the trend in which the offense is getting committed. So there are many cyber crimes, and I'm sure you're talking about this throughout this FDP program, but I'm not focusing on all the forms of cyber crimes, except those which helps me to make my submission about a legal issue. When it comes to some cyber crimes, including online financial frauds, as I said, anyone can be a victim of any cybercrime, including online financial frauds. Now, when I say financial fraud, it's a very wider term. It includes like online cheating. It includes unauthorized transfer of money from your account to my account. So it can include any of this, or it can even include like any cyber attack that affects economy of the nation. For example, I attack a government-based websites, and because of that, the stock exchange gets affected or shares gets affected. So entire economy gets affected. So like this, again, anyone can be victim. The UK government, along with an academic institution, few years back conducted a study to assess the impact of cyber crimes on individuals, institutions, and state. As we see on the slide, so the report says that the victims who were the victims of online financial frauds included business entities, that is industry, government agencies, as well as citizens. And if you look at this slide, this is like from 2013 study. So you can imagine the extent of loss they might cause today. I know if the study is made today, the reflections may be different. So extent of loss was huge. Business enterprises were losing in billions, individuals together, the government together. So overall loss to the economy was huge. And the same report says that this is not the real number, because many times we don't register the case. Industries don't register the case. So even like big industries or bank entities, when they become victims of cyber attack, they hesitate to register case because of various reasons, like loss of reputation in the society, loss of goodwill in the society. They don't want to lose further investments and all. So therefore, they don't report. So now, similar is also the concern in UK. So therefore, this loss that I've indicated is only the tip of the iceberg. So it can be more than this. Now, this report is relevant for us because this report says that India is the 5th country in the world who have been, losing financially because of online financial frauds. So though it's a UK report, it's relevant for us. Now, as soon as this report got released, so it further affected India because a lot of investments which were happening from Western country on Indian industries, many of them got withdrawn because people felt, okay, India is not a safe destination for investing, especially when it is a concern of cybersecurity. So this is the reason why industries also don't report crime, because of loss of business. So that could even happen with the nation. Now, similar report also came 2 years back. So it's not that it is 2013 old, incident. It continues to be a concern even today. So the problem with cybercrime is that further victimization continues. So I become, especially a financial fraud, like I become a victim now. Financially I lose now, but I report this, I become a victim of loss of reputation, loss of business. So this is one concern that the law should keep in mind. If you look at the statistics, some earlier statistics, if you see number of cases reported were very few, it was just in hundreds. But slowly you could see that it was increasing in general. Like if you see 2011 itself, there was increase annually of more than 100% of cases which were getting reported. But these are anyways old statistics. Coming to the most recent one, if you go through the website of NCRB, National Crimes Records Bureau, this is a government agency which maintains the records of all the crimes that are committed across India. State-wise, you get data. Country-wise also you get data, and you get data under IT Act, under IPC. So all offences based on classifications, numbers are indicated. Now the latest report came just 1 or 2 months before, and according to this report also, there is increase in the number of cyber crimes. So now this is debatable as to why there is an increase. Is it showing an increase because there is increase in the offences? Or is it because people are aware and that they started reporting? So it is anyways a debatable issue. But the fact that it is showing an increase is a matter of concern. So yes, offences are increasing, but how about conviction rate? I'll skip few slides because of the privacy concerns, but I'll take up those as case studies later. So coming to the cases that are getting decided are very less, because we all know in India, the time taken to investigate a case is huge. And I'm sure if you're all following media, we're seeing how like a journalist has now been arrested for a case of abetment to suicide that took place years before. because they've started reinvestigating the case. So completion of investigation is a time-consuming process. Completion of criminal case is also a time-consuming process. So number of cases reported is one issue. Number of cases getting decided is another issue. And number of cases getting decided are definitely very less. A number of cases leading to conviction. Conviction means punishing the accused. So have you been able to trace the accused? Have you been able to hold him liable? Have you been able to punish him? It's not like a very good number. So it's very, very less. So for example, like in Bangalore, we've only got one conviction under the cyber laws. So except for this one conviction, all other cases have been, they've resulted in acquittal. In the sense, probably evidences were not enough to punish the accused. They were not enough to convict the accused. So this is the concern. Okay? So however, we are referring to, when I say cyber crime, we are referring to a crime which has no boundaries. And I'm sure we all understand this, because this is a crime I can commit by sitting in Bangalore, and I can have the computer located in Tumkur and use that computer to attack a victim who's sitting in Delhi. So that's the nature of offense. So then what procedure do you follow when you're investigating? Do you follow procedure laid down in Karnataka because accused is in Karnataka, computer is in Karnataka, or do you follow what is relevant when it comes to place of victim? This is at least within India. Now we can imagine the complexities we'll have if different countries are involved. So that's another concern. So when we discuss jurisdiction, I'll come back to this. So therefore, this requires a new approach of dealing with the crime, and that's what is the focus of today's session. So therefore, we will today discuss about cyber law, which includes IPC, IT Act, and some provisions of evidence law also, and some provisions relating to the procedure, because this is relevant for all of us. Right? So any questions up to here about the introductory remarks that I just gave? Because otherwise, we should be just following what we're discussing. So otherwise also you can ask the question in the last 10 minutes, but up to like what I've said so far, if you have any questions, I can take them. Okay, I assume there's no question. So let's go ahead. So what is cybercrime? So I've been referring to this term. So none of the law in India defines the term cybercrime. So it's not defined anywhere. However, in simple terms, it can just be defined as, it's named by different terms. It's called as electronic crime, computer crime, high-tech crime. So today all of this means one and the same. And the best way to define this is using computer technology to commit a crime. Now, what is a crime? So I'll go to more basics because we are not from law background, right? So the audience are not from law background. So what is a crime? So on the whole, law is nothing but set of rules and regulations. And when you don't follow these rules and regulations, you're committing a wrong, that is violation of a law. Violation of law can either be treated as a civil wrong or as a criminal wrong. I hope like we're all following, so you can keep it interactive, no issue, so that the object is to understand the legal aspects. Like for us, how like technical terms are jargons, and I'm sure like for many of you, legal terms are jargons. So let's understand the concepts. So we can classify wrongs or the offenses into two categories, civil offenses and criminal offenses. What is the difference between civil offense and criminal offense? The civil offenses compared to criminal offenses are lesser serious in nature. They're not very serious in nature. And then these indicates that there is a dispute between two or few individuals. For example, let's assume my cousin wants to say encroach on my property. So she starts using my property. She enters into my property and starts using it. So this is a dispute only between me and my cousin. So state is not interested in it. So therefore, if I want to file a case, I have to file a civil case on her or him. Right? But when it comes to crime, crime is seen as a more serious offense. So it's seen as an offense against the entire society. For example, A kills B. So, this is murder, and murder is a serious offense. So even if it is B who is killed, it is seen as an offense against the entire society, because if there is a criminal incident which takes place in our neighborhood, all of us feel that our sense of security is affected. So therefore, compared to civil wrong, the criminal wrongs are considered as more serious in nature, affecting more individuals. In fact, we define crime as an offense against the society. So when Nirbhaya was raped and killed, entire country wanted justice. When Arushi murder took place, entire country wanted justice. We did not see it as an offense against Arushi or Nirbhaya, right? So like that. So when a bank is attacked, when a bank is subjected to cyber attack, all of us feel worried because our money is also with the bank. So we feel like what if banks are not taken care of? So where will our money go? So this is how we see crime as differently from civil wrongs. There are other grounds of differences between the two. If you have to file a civil case, you have to file it. You have to bring your lawyer. You have to pay to your lawyer. So entire burden is on you to prove that I've committed a civil wrong against you. But if I've committed a crime against you, you just go to the police station, register an FIR. That I'll come to it more in detail in the afternoon session, like post, the next session. So criminal matters, you just go and inform the police. The burden is on the police. The responsibility is on the police to collect the evidence. But in a civil case, you have to collect all the evidence and prove that I've committed a wrong against you. But in a criminal case, it is on the state because we see crime as an offense against the state. The third ground of difference is when you file a civil case on me, you have to just prove that I've committed an offense with some reasonable evidence is enough. Like, I've entered your computer, there is a login detail to show, it is enough to prove that I've committed hacking. But if you file a criminal case, you have to prove that I have intentionally done it. I've not like accidentally entered your computer, but I've entered your computer with some ill will, some motive. So it's called as mens rea, means deliberate intention. So it is your responsibility to prove that I've done it with a specific intention. And how do you prove it? With all the evidences, you should prove that I have done the offense. How much evidence you should bring? Beyond reasonable doubt. So you should be able to convince to the court that I have committed the offense beyond reasonable doubt. Now you may think, when people were saying, why should we spend so much money on terrorists, keeping them in prison? We should, just subject them to death sentence in 1 day, 1 month. No, that's not allowed in India because even if it is Kasab who committed terror attacks and you had CCTV footages, you had eyewitnesses, but you had to conduct a criminal procedure, the trial, during which the prosecution had to prove that it was he who committed the offense beyond reasonable doubt with all the evidences. So that is very, very important, right? So when it is a civil case, some evidence is enough in simple terms, but if it is a criminal case, you need to collect all the evidence so accurately, so perfectly presented before the court that you should be able to prove the guilt beyond reasonable doubt. So therefore, how you collect the evidence also is important. Like today, I'm detaining, let's assume Arnab in custody, and I make him make confessional statements. I record it as a police officer. I record it, and I go and produce it before the court tomorrow. It will not be accepted as a valid piece of evidence because under the law, any statement made before the police is not a valid statement. So it cannot be used as evidence. So whatever they are doing now is anyways not going to help them in the court tomorrow. They have to collect independent evidences. And it shouldn't be by, recording confessional statements in the police station. You may get another question, especially if you're from Karnataka, you're probably also following other cases of 2 actresses who are arrested under, say, narcotic drugs case. So why are they not getting bail? So their confessional statements were recorded by NCB. NCB is National Crimes Bureau. So they're not treated as police. So any statement I make to police will not be used as evidence, but any statement I make to other authorities, not being police, can be used as evidence. So if Arnab says anything to police, it can't be used as evidence. But if these 2 actresses have confessed to NCB, it can be used as evidence. And that's the reason why they're not getting bail. I hope you're understanding this. Now, same principle applies to cybercrime also. If there is a cybercrime committed against me, I file a criminal case, police will have to collect the evidence and police will have to produce this evidence before the court. And it should be so convincing that they should be able to prove that it was X who committed cybercrime beyond reasonable doubt. Even a small doubt in the mind of the court leads to acquittal. And that's the reason why Salman Khan was also, acquitted because, there was not enough evidence to prove that he was the one who committed the offense. So that is the difference between civil case and criminal case. When it comes to cyber crimes, cyber wrongs, some of them are civil wrongs, some of them are criminal wrongs, and some of them are both, which you'll understand once we go through the sections. Coming back to the definition. So cyber crimes are nothing but criminal activities, that is violations of criminal law, committed by using computer system, computer network as the tool to commit the offense. Now, earlier, if I had to rob a bank, I would go with a revolver, threaten the manager or the employees of the bank, ask them to give the cash. But today, I just use my computer to rob a bank, to transfer the money, right? So today, instead of revolver, I'm using computer as a tool to commit the crime. Or it's an offense committed by using computer as a target. So my target is the files on your computer. So you're writing an article, but I steal that article, make some manipulations and some changes, and I publish it in my name. So my target is the file on your system, or my target is your system. Or the third way of explaining it is, these are crimes which are committed on cyberspace. For example, I go on Facebook, write a defamatory article about a person, or I go on Facebook and bully my colleague. So I'm committing this offense on Facebook or on internet. So therefore, cybercrime is an offense committed by using technology either as a tool or target or as the place of commission of the crime. Generally, under criminal law, we classify crimes into various categories. For example, murder, kidnapping. So all these are called as offenses against human body. Rape, anything that affects the body of a person. Then you have other offenses which affects properties like dacoity, robbery, theft, misappropriation of property. So these are called as offenses against property. Thirdly, there are certain offenses which are committed against the state. For example, waging war against the state, making a statement against the state, or terrorism, which is also an offense against the state. So like this, we classify crimes into crimes against human body, property, and state. Similarly, when it comes to cyber crimes, we classify cyber crimes as against person, that is individuals, against property, and against state. Okay, example of offenses committed against person. This includes stalking, continuously following a person online, or continuously following the usage of internet activity by a person, or sending annoying messages to a person. So this is an example of cybercrime committed against a person. Or another example, I take a photograph of a person, morph it, and publish this obscene content online. So that person is the victim. Then there are offenses like where I hack your computer, steal your data, sell it to rival company. So this is an example of offense against property. And cyber warfare, cyber terrorism are the examples of offenses committed against the state. See, earlier again, people were saying cyber terrorism can be a myth, cyber warfare can't be a reality. But today, so many incidences are committed that we all know that this can happen in real. So today, terrorists are recruited online. Social media is used to create terror in the minds of people. So like this, it's becoming a reality. For example, few years back, people residing in Bangalore from Northeast who had come and were studying or working in Bangalore, they received a message saying, you have to leave Bangalore within August 15th, otherwise you'll be attacked. So this created terror in the minds of those people. They started suddenly leaving Bangalore. Trains were full. State tried to intervene, calm the situation, but it couldn't happen because so much was the terror that was created. So finally, they had to introduce additional trains and all because they couldn't take care of this information. And forget about this old incident. What recently happened in Bangalore, that huge, loss, destruction of property, police stations were attacked. Later, it led to lathi charge and all. This was only because of one social media post, and if it is deliberately done, we can call it as terrorism activity. But we have to see whether it was deliberately done with the intention of creating terror or not. So that's the extent to which loss can be caused. So therefore, we classify offenses differently. Right. So up to here, any questions? Feel free to ask questions. And if you want to leave the questions in the chat box also is fine. Thank you. Okay, so that's about classifications. Yeah, go back to the previous slide. Now, one thing that non-law people should understand that whenever we're using the words, these words for a common man may give a different meaning, but under law it will have a different meaning. Example: what is person? Can someone answer? Like, how do you understand the term person? Have we muted all the participants? Yeah. So can somebody try to define what person is? Or examples of person? You can write down also your answer. Yeah, individual. So one of the participants says it's an individual. But under law, like, see, why do we okay, individual? So all like, why can't we just call them as human beings? So when we call human beings as person, yes, they have certain characteristics. But then more clearly, if I can say, so we all have rights, right? For example, I have a right to speak. You have a right to express your views. I have a right for movement. You can't stop me from traveling from one place to another unless there are laws restricting it. Exactly. Rights, freedoms, and all. So, maybe during COVID, they said, no, you can't travel. But otherwise, can this happen always? No, it can't happen always because we are born with certain freedoms, certain rights, and all. And law recognizes this. Right. So keep in mind this because this gets related to the legal provisions we discuss later. So a person under the law is the one who has got rights and duties given to him by the law. So, see, earlier days in African continent, we had slavery system, right? So, and these slaves had no rights; they only had duties. They were not even getting paid and all. So, because they had no right to even be paid, so they were not treated as persons. You may feel it's strange, but under the law, they were not treated as persons. So person means any entity, any individual who's got rights and duties. But anyways, today we have human rights law and all, constitution and all, which guarantees us rights. So it includes fundamental rights, human rights, many other rights. Right? When I work for my college, I get paid because I have right to be paid. Right? So similarly, I have duties to my college. So I have to do my duties. So therefore, we all have rights and duties. So therefore, we're called as persons. Now we classify persons into two categories. Person, therefore, is not just human beings. It will also include institutions which have got rights and duties. Example, your college. So your college also has a right. Like for example, let's assume it's a particular university. That university has a right to use its seal, SEAL, its name on all the agreements. The university has right to own property. So my university can purchase property, can transfer property, can buy property, can sell property. They have right to do it. They have right to enter into contract. So like this, you have list of rights that are given to persons. So therefore, person is not just human beings. It is wider. Person includes institutions. So therefore, we classify persons into natural person and legal person. So natural person means we human beings and legal person means institutions like companies, firms, etc. Right? So who have got rights and duties under the law. I hope up to here it is clear. Why did I focus on this? Now under the IT Act, if you want to file a civil case, you can go and file it before Secretary to IT Department. Okay, he's from a technology background. So because he's the Secretary to IT/BT Department, so he comes from technical background. So he's a technical expert. So there was one case which was filed before him few years back in Karnataka. So that was a case of phishing attack. So customers of ICICI Bank received phishing email. So that was the time when we didn't know what phishing email and all. So it was just like then coming into notice and all. So a person responded to the phishing email and he lost the money. Then he files a case against ICICI Bank before this IT secretary. Now the Minister of Information Technology thought that people from IT background are good to solve cybercrime cases. So therefore they made him the judge. But since they don't come with legal background, so there were errors in the judgment. So in this first case that went before IT secretary, the court says that ICICI Bank is not liable to pay compensation because ICICI Bank is not a person. Okay? So that's the problem. So this is one domain where we should also know law. And under the law, person also includes institutions like corporates, like banks can also be punished. See, if you are able to just understand what's happening when it comes to financial frauds, like in Bangalore, IMA fraud. IMA is an institution, but we can file cases on IMA. You can also file cases on IMA's officers. Individually, they are liable and corporate is also liable, right? So therefore, these terms are important. Now coming to the next term, property. So what is property? Anything which is valuable in the eye of law. So therefore property is not just cash, it's not just jewelry, it's not just vehicles, it's not just buildings. It can be anything which is valuable in the eye of the law. And today data is valuable, okay? So tomorrow we'll have decisions where court will definitely start saying that stealing data is also a crime. It will happen tomorrow. Already it's anyways happening directly or indirectly. So therefore, data stealing is a crime because it's seen as a very, very valuable asset. Right? So, and when I use the word state, legally state means government. Okay, so for people, state would mean state of Kerala, state of Karnataka, for layman, but state under law means government. It can either be state government or union government. Right? I hope these terms are clear. So therefore, individuals would include, persons would include organizations as well as the natural persons. Now, when I say cybercrime, maybe we're discussing a lot of forms of cybercrimes from yesterday: malware attacks, ransomware attacks, DOS attacks, DDoS attack. But in addition to all these crimes that emerge with technology, there are other crimes which are considered as traditional crimes. So today they've also taken form of cybercrime. Example, fraud. Fraud was known since long, so it just did not begin with technology. So, for example, I'm committing cheating, on A. So I would make him believe that, look, my car is, having so and so features and all. So you look at the car, you believe it has got so and so feature, you end up buying it, but the internal products are very bad. So, right, I've committed fraud on you, I've cheated you. Today, it is more easier to commit this online because of online frauds. So therefore, fraud is a traditional crime, conventional crime, but today it has taken form of cybercrime in some scenarios. Example, we've heard about incidences of where people have ordered for phone, but they only got a brick, they've only got a stone. So like this, a lot of fraudulent activities are coming into picture. Or other examples, job scams. Like somebody's offered a job on a payment of commission. So I pay the commission, then I don't get the job. Then I get to know that this is nothing but a fraud committed on me. Right? Then you have forgery. So what is forgery? For a layman, forgery means when I put your signature, right? So I have to put somebody else's signature to amount to forgery. But under law, no. Forgery includes not just putting signature of another, but also putting my own signature for some illegal activity. Example, I generate a bill to show that my expenses were more. But then actually my expenses were only 2,000, but I show it as 20,000 by putting an additional zero and then I sign on it. So putting my own signature or your signature to create a false document is called as forgery. Now today this is very easy on cyberspace because you can manipulate document. And if that example, if you can recollect Air India's example, they forged the tickets. Not just that, as soon as 2000 notes came, what happened? Immediately duplicate notes were also coming because the technology is easing the manner in which you can counterfeit documents. You can create duplicate documents. So that's another indication as to how conventional crimes today have taken form of cyber crimes. So I've already told you about counterfeitation, nothing but making duplicate documents. There's another example I can give when the parliament attack took place. So how did a car enter the parliament? See, otherwise these are all safer zones. No cars are allowed. But a car could enter because they had a counterfeited label that put on the car. So clear, so identical to the original that they gain entry into the parliament. So this is an example of counterfeitation of document. So mischief under law means destruction of property. So today I don't have to go to a building and destroy the property. I can just enter that victim's computer, destroy his data, etc., or I attack his website. So that is an example of destruction of property. Okay? Then defamation is nothing but publishing anything which can affect the reputation of a person. So earlier, like if I had to defame a person, I had to do it on papers and all, and circulate those papers, pamphlets and all. But today I can easily do it online. I just go on a social media, write ill about a person, he gets defamed. And today, in the name of freedom of speech and expression, this is increasing. A lot of women are trolled. Not just women, anybody can be a victim of defamation, trolling, bullying. Body shaming, calling names against a person, even ministers are not spared, heads of the states are not spared. So therefore, it's a matter of concern, and we have to see how the law will address this. But sometimes it's genuinely required because during Me Too, it was campaign, we saw how like a lot of truths were coming out. So on one hand, it is my freedom of speech. On the other hand, the reputation of another. So it needs to be balanced. Online harassment, online intimidation is also on increase, and usually women and children are the victim. So harassing someone with, say, name calling or with sexual intention, making remarks, using words, etc. So those are also increasing. So Now, criminal law is consistently changing. See, as I said, we have IPC, which was drafted in 1860, but it has undergone changes at various stages. To just give you an example of important changes that happened, because you can all relate to it since we hear about criminal incidences from media. The first important change, which are relevant for cybercrime, was made in the year 2013. That was because of Nirbhaya incident, which took place in 2013. So we had to immediately show that our law is more stronger to protect women. So 2013, we amended the law. And the amended laws today include sections through which you can regulate cyber stalking. What is stalking? So under this IPC provision, stalking is defined as where a man continuously follows a woman without the consent of women. So when I teach this to my students, I say, gone are the days when a man following women was considered as an act of heroism. Now it is a crime unless the girl has consented. So continuous following of a person in the offline place is stalking. The same section, second part says, even monitoring internet usage, sending continuous messages can also come under the definition of stalking. So today, stalking includes cyber stalking. Now, why is this taken so seriously? See, initially, people, even now, many do not take stalking seriously. They ignore the stalker. But many times it leads to suicide, it leads to murder. So we saw how one girl was murdered in Delhi a few years back, and then how a girl in Chennai in the daytime in a railway station was murdered. And in both the cases, the accused was turned out to be a stalker. So stalking can take dangerous forms later if it is unregulated. So considering all this, we've added a section into IPC which will now take care of stalking as well as cyber stalking. Other ways of, say, intimidating, scaring someone through online messages, emails, etc., phone calls, it gets covered under intimidation section. I'm not using the sections because I know for the first time it's very hard to remember the numbers of the section, but they're all covered in IPs. Okay, so that's about how cybercrime today also includes conventional crimes, and I've just given few examples. There might be many like this. Okay, any questions up to here? You can type down the question. Okay, so why are people using cyber technology to commit the crime? So for this, I'll have to take you through some more basic issues, concepts of criminal laws. But this, before that, the crimes are usually committed in 4 stages. Okay, I know getting into 2 basics, but unless we understand this, it's difficult to understand how prosecution can take place, evidences can be produced. Okay, so therefore I'll just focus on some important but fundamental aspects. Crime is committed in 4 stages. So first one is intention. I want to commit a crime. I want to hack your system. So I should make my mind. I should intend to do it. Okay. Secondly, with the intention of hacking your system, I make preparation. How? I learn how to hack. So I make preparation, or I buy a hacking tool. Okay. So that is preparation. Second is I start committing the offense. So I'm attempting to commit the offense. So the third stage is attempt. So I try to put that hacking device into your laptop when you left it unattended. While inserting, you come and stop me. So then I'm not committed. But let's assume you don't come and stop me. No one is there to stop me. I put the hacking device into your laptop. Immediately, I've taken control of your laptop and I remove the device. I come out. So I've done my act. So this is commission. So there are 4 stages: intention, preparation, attempt, and commission. Okay. Now coming back to why cyber crimes are more committed is because today preparation to commit a crime is very, very easier. The earlier Mumbai terror attack, the RTX material had to come from Dubai to India, somewhere from Middle East, maybe Dubai to India. So they would have struggled a lot to get it from that country to here. A lot of people might have been involved. So it was too complicated, right? To prepare that commission of crime. But today I can get any contrabands online. I can order for drugs. I can order for RDX. Unless police are vigilant, I can just prepare commission of crime very easily. I can get SIM cards. So it's so easy to commit preparation, to prepare the commission of the crime. And secondly, earlier if I had to commit a war or terrorism, it was difficult to find people like my mindset, interact with them and all. But today it's easier because you can get these people online. So by looking at their posts, what wing they belong to, what are their ideologies. Start using this for your activity. So it's easy to conspire with people today because you don't have to meet them in physical space. If you remember, the second Mumbai terror attack, that is Kasab's attack, it was only 10 people who entered the country. And it's only like 4 in one place, 4 in another place, 2 later. Very few people who committed such huge destruction because they were using satellite phones, they were using SIM cards. So technology has replaced people. And there's a movie which is made in Hindi. If you've not watched, you should watch it. I think it's called Hotel, something like that. So it's about like how the attack took place in Taj. So you've seen the movie, so they, and it's reality, it was reported also in the media, that when the attack was taking place inside the Taj Hotel, and police and later army also came in. So when they were trying to like rescue people and all, whatever was happening inside were all getting leaked outside because of television, media coverage. So the news channels were reporting this live. So this was watched by terrorists sitting outside the country, and they were giving inputs to the terrorists inside the country. So I hope you're understanding. So why? Because technology was favoring this entire activity, and they were using satellite phones, as I said earlier. So technology has today replaced people, and that's how it's easier to commit the crime unless it is regulated. You don't need many people because today these offenses can be committed just with computers. You need one or few people to commit the offense because, as I again said, technology has replaced people. The offender gets invisibility, especially when I'm hacking in your system and I'm like, not using proper IP address and all. So I get privacy, I get anonymity. So it's very hard to track me, right? So there's one incident that happened in a law college in Bangalore. It's not our law school, some other private college, where a girl was receiving a lot of annoying emails with annoying contents. So when it was informally investigated, we got to know all these were sent from a computer lab of the same college. So you now know which computer was used, but you don't know who was using it. Unless you maintain a register of who was using which computer at which point of time, you'll not know when people use computers to commit crime from cyber caves or from libraries, computer libraries or computer labs. So because the technology gives me this shield, it gives me the invisibility. It gives me this privacy and anonymity. So these are some reasons as to why people often tend to use this as a tool to commit the crime, especially the criminals. And what is offenders? So they can be, any now, but earlier days they were usually saying it is youngsters because they are good in technology. Sometimes, most of the hacking was done by, the people who are in adolescence age. So extremely young kids, but now like it can be any. Some offenses are committed by groups, organized groups, especially like cyber attacks on computers belonging to government, ransomware attacks, DOS attacks. So they're all done by organizations. Sometimes if a data is stolen in the company, it's maybe because an employee is behind it. So there are a lot of decided cases. So I'm not just saying this based on assumption, but there are cases to indicate this, that when an IPR is stolen, source code is stolen, data is stolen, so many times it gets, traced back to its own company, the company's own company. So that's another unique feature. When it comes to stalking, obscenity, pornography, so often, not always, but often they found that the victim, the accused turns out to be somebody known to the victim. So sometimes it's like, somebody related to the victim. Sometimes it's somebody like, who is personally, known to the victim, a friend or a relative, etc. There's one case where women who was started receiving threatening messages saying, I have your personal conversation with your husband. They were newly married couple. So their personal conversations were accessed by somebody else. So he's asking for money. So then, this girl goes to meet him to pay that money that was asked. And then it turns out to be her own uncle. So like this, many times the accused can be somebody known to the victim. So, or that example of that, college case is, it can be an employee or it can be a student who would have committed the offense. So many times this has happened. Okay, so that's about few things that I wanted to talk before we start with the legal aspects. Okay, any questions? Okay, so let's come to the law. So coming to Indian cyber laws, coincidentally, this year is considered as the 20th year of passing this enactment. So we passed Information Technology Act in the year 2000 in the month of October. So that we completed 20 years. When the enactment came in the year 2000, so the object of the enactment was to promote and facilitate e-commercial transactions like online sale, online purchase. So they wanted to encourage this. But then if I'm like, say, let's assume I'm selling a product to you online and you want to buy it online. So how do you enter into this agreement? Earlier days, it was like physical activity. So like, let's assume it's buying a house and all. So we used to enter into paper-based documents, paper-based agreements, right? But now for online purchase and sale, how do you enter into agreement? So you needed a law which could legally recognize this online transaction. So that was the object. And we also needed a law which could recognize e-governance. Like now most of the government schemes are available online. I want to take a UGC exam, I can apply for UGC exam online. I want to buy a train ticket, I do it on IRCTC, right? So all these are examples of e-commerce and e-governance. So the law had to recognize this. See, otherwise earlier signature means your signature that you put, with by using your pen, right? But now it also includes digital signature. Why? Because law says signature includes digital signature. So like this, it's a law that was brought in to recognize e-commerce and e-governance activities. When the law came, so they also had very few sections with which cybercrimes could be regulated. So we did not focus on regulating cybercrime because our focus was largely on promoting and facilitating e-commerce and e-governance. So when this act came, we also simultaneously changed few sections of IPC and few sections of evidence law and other laws. Okay, so only the first is more relevant for us. So why the evidence law got changed? It's because when you are expected to produce a documentary evidence, a document is nothing but a paper-based document as understood earlier. So let's assume you want to prove that the property belongs to you. So you could give property papers to the court. But now the document also includes electronic documents. You don't have to bring the hard paper. You can also give a scanned copy because that is also now accepted as an evidence with some conditions which I'll explain in the last session for the day. So that's how we had to bring in the change in the evidence now. Then, as I said earlier, forgery, fraud, they were conventional crimes, but you can now deal with it under IPC because they've amended IPC. It's a very small change. It just says, wherever you see the word record or document, henceforth you will read it as that which also includes e-record and e-document. So today, therefore, anything that you send through email is also considered as a paper-based document. So these are the changes that were brought. But as I said earlier, 2000 enactment was more focusing on e-commerce, e-governance. There's less focus on regulation of cybercrime. So we were not bothered much about hacking and all. So we just had here and there few sections. But it was 2008 terror attack which made us realize that no, this technology needs to be regulated. Otherwise, it will be misused. So it was Kasab's attack, which led to the change to the Information Technology Act. So therefore, we amended it in the year 2008. Okay, so now we are beginning with 2008 amended provisions. Any questions about the basic concepts? I hope you've understood what crime is, what cybercrime is, types of cybercrimes, then some examples of conventional crime taking form of cybercrime. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so let's start with the section. So now, it might sound to be jargons. Don't hesitate to ask your questions. Ask questions if you have any. Okay, if you can notice, they're using the word knowingly, intentionally. Now onwards. Now these are all criminal law provisions. For a while, I'll just use this slide like a board. Okay, I hope you can see this typing. So usually in a criminal case, what you have to prove? You have to prove two things. One, that I committed actus reus, means physical act. And secondly, and I committed this with mens rea. Mens rea means state of mind. Are you able to see the slides that I'm typing on? Since I don't have board, I'm just using it. Thank you. Okay. So these are two Latin words. So what is actus reus? See, if you want to prove that I've committed murder by stabbing somebody, you should first prove that I was the one who stabbed that person. Okay, that stabbing is the actus reus. So you should prove that The death was because of stabbing and I did that stabbing. Okay. Now, what if I am a child of 5 years who was stabbed? Can you hold me liable? No, because under the law, we presume that a child below 7 years cannot form state of mind to commit a crime. We assume that they're innocent. So therefore, we don't treat that, they're committed the offense because they can't form state of mind. Other examples. An insane person, a mentally insane person commits a wrong. He cannot be punished because he cannot form state of mind. So therefore, to hold me criminally liable, to punish me under criminal law, you should prove two things. That I did the physical act, and then secondly, I did it with a state of mind. Now let's come to hacking as an example. I hack your computer, you want to file a criminal case, you have to prove two things. That I hacked your computer. So for that, you give all digital evidence, login details, etc. Anything that shows that I had hacked with my system, your system. So that, evidence you give. So with which you prove that the hacking took place from my side. Secondly, you should also prove that I was intentionally hacking your system so that I steal your data. Like this, you should prove that it was I who did, plus I did it with a state of mind. If you're only able to prove any one of the two, I cannot be punished. Okay, so this is important. Now, this is not necessary in a civil case. In a civil case, you can just prove that I hacked your system is enough. You don't have to prove state of mind. Okay, so this is the general rule. Okay, but there is an exception to this general rule. So that exception is there are some offences which are called as strict liability offences. Example. So I repeat again. See, let's assume I'm like sending a virus to your computer. I'm like, subjecting your computer to a malware attack. So you want to file a criminal case on me. You should prove that I was the one who did that attack. Plus, I did it deliberately, intentionally, knowingly. Okay. But there are some offences where you don't have to prove my state of mind. You don't have to prove mens rea. And that is example, possession-based crimes. Example, on my computer, if you see child porn material is enough to punish me. You don't have to prove that I was intending to use it. I was intending to publish it and all. Not necessary. Okay, the fact that the CP material, that is child porn material, is in my laptop, I am answerable. You don't have to prove that I've committed an offense with so and so mens rea. So this is an example of some offenses where you don't have to prove state of mind. Another example, possession of drugs, narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances. If you can, just try to recollect from media reporting of Sushant Singh's case. Later on are, cases from Karnataka. So initially, I think Sushant's girlfriend was saying that I've never consumed, but I helped him getting the drugs. These are very dangerous statements that she made because under the law, possessing is a very simple offense. Possessing for consumption is a simple offense. Possessing to give it to another person is a very, very serious offense. Okay, so like that, it will vary from one law to another law. So now, why am I focusing on this? Now let's come to the first section. See, the first section is about computer source documents. It says, I'll skip the first line. I'll go to the second line. It says, so now I'll come to the slideshow. Yeah. So what does it say? It says, whoever conceals, destroys, or alters any computer source code. So if you are destroying computer source code of my computer, I can file a case on you, but I have to prove that you have knowingly or intentionally committed this offense. Okay, so let's assume I give my mobile phone to a person for repair. While repairing accidentally, there is alteration of source code. I can't file a case on him because he did not intentionally or knowingly alter the source code. So I have to prove that he did it intentionally. Or I should at least say that, see, he's an expert in this field. He should have known that if he's doing this activity, it can result in alterations. So then I've been able to prove the knowingly. So that is what makes criminal law, quite difficult. It's very difficult to get conviction under criminal law because you have to prove what is in the mind of a person. Okay, so let's come to this section. It says, whoever knowingly or intentionally conceals, destroys, or alters, or he intentionally or knowingly causes another person. I don't do it, but I make another person conceal, destroy, alter A computer source code used for a computer program, computer system, computer network. Now, since you're all from technology background, I don't have to go into the details of computer source code, but just look at how the law defines it. The last part of this slide. The law itself, IT Act itself defines computer source code as listing of programs, computer commands, designs, etc. Basically, the language with which I communicate with the computer. So whoever changes the code of a computer can be punished under this section. Example, especially earlier days, it was craze for many people to bring mobile phones from abroad. Right now, at least you get everything in India. So there's no need. But few years back, if at all I bring a mobile phone from abroad, you can't use it in India because it has some locking system and all. So I would go to some place and get it, get the lock remote. So the get the lock remote is nothing but changing the source code. So this is a crime under 65. Right? Whoever commits this crime can be punished. The last 3 lines, if you see, can be punished with imprisonment up to 3 years. When they say up to, the judge can either give it for 1 day, 3 days, 3 months, or 3 years, but not more than 3 years. And fine can go up to 2 lakhs. So it can be 1 rupee, 100 rupee. Recently, we all know Supreme Court has imposed 1 rupee fine on an advocate for contempt of court. So therefore, it's left to the court. They can put 1 rupee or 10 rupee or 100 rupee, but maximum should not be exceeded. And in this case, maximum is 2 lakhs rupees. Or it can be both fine as well as imprisonment. So that is the first section under which criminal liability is imposed. Okay, so let's come to the understanding of the physical act, the act is real. So how do I do this offense? Either by concealing or destroying or altering. Now, do I have to directly do it? No, you can indirectly do it also. For example, let's assume I send a virus to your computer. The virus destroys the computer source code. So then also this section can be used. So I'll be booked under this section. Let's come to the next section. So this section is 66, very, very wide section. So what I'll do is, since it takes time, so I'll skip this and I'll take this after the break, but I'll come to the next section because this is a very wide section. We need time to discuss this. And this is a very important section also. Therefore, as of now, I'll skip this. So let's come to 66B. So 66 here, we're ready to discuss. 66B is about, this is very, very relevant for youngsters especially, or whoever is crazy about buying expensive products without ascertaining from where he's buying. Now this says, whoever dishonestly receives or retains a stolen computer resource or a stolen communication device. Now, what is a communication device? Like a mobile phone. Any device with which you communicate, you're able to send a message, receive the message. Earlier days we had pager. So anything, satellite phone. So any communication device or any computer resource. Now, what is computer resource? Computer resource includes computer system, data on the computer database. Okay. So now let's assume I want to buy a very expensive laptop with advanced features and all. It's an Apple laptop I want to buy. But when I look at the rate, it's around say 2 lakhs. But maybe as of now, I don't have so much money to buy. So what I do, I go to a platform where people sell old computers like OLX. I go and then I find the exactly same laptop available for sale by a earlier buyer. It's a second-hand device, and he's now selling it only for 1 lakh. So I end up buying it. I never knew from where he bought this laptop and all. I didn't bother to check it. I just buy it for 1 lakh. Otherwise, it's worth 2 lakh. Now, under this section, if it turns out to be a stolen laptop, we have to be very careful, educate our students, our family, our friends that never buy computers, unless they are new ones from the branded sellers. Never even take it as a gift, never even give it as a gift, especially if they are used ones. Gift at least branded from known ones is okay. Brand new ones, okay. Otherwise, it's very, very dangerous. Last month itself, my mate's daughter was called by police because she had got a phone call from her brother-in-law as a gift. And that brother-in-law unfortunately had died because of COVID. So we don't know from where he had bought. So this girl was using this mobile phone and suddenly she was called by a police station in Bangalore because it was found to be a stolen mobile phone. So one is the one who receives it, who buys it, who retains it, and then it turns out to be a stolen device. They can be booked under 66. Okay, so stealing is one offense, receiving is another offense. Now coming back to OLX, so I'm not saying, but Delhi police themselves have said that large number of products that are sold on OLX are stolen products. So we have to be very, very careful as to what we are buying and from where we are buying. Right? So according to this section, tomorrow you might go to the court and say, no, I didn't know it was a stolen computer. But if you look at the third line, it says, having reason to believe that it is a stolen computer, you purchase it, so you're liable. So court will ask, see, this was 2 lakh worth, but you bought it for 1 lakh. So didn't you have reason to believe that this might, be a problematic device? So like this, courts can ask tomorrow. So you have to be very careful. Never give your old device to anyone, because we have this tendency of just giving it away to our mates or known ones, etc. Because one is the data in it can go to any hand. That person may not misuse it, but that person gives it to another person, and it's not possible to delete entire content. It can have our personal information, photographs and all. Never buy it also. So that's one tip I wanted to give. Yeah, I think there was a question in between. I'll just check that. Yeah, between any other questions up to here. So I think now we'll take questions so that I'm sure that we are following what we're discussing. Yeah. Okay, so does computer source code copyright infringement have separate IPC section or treated as tampering of computer program? That's a very good question. Am I audible?
Madam, you are audible, madam.
Okay, fine. Yeah. So it's a very good question, because this I anyways forgot to mention earlier. I said some wrongs are civil, some wrongs are criminal in nature. For example, hacking is civil as well as criminal offense. That you'll understand once we go through 66, which I've still not discussed. So now let's assume I've hacked your computer. So which case you'll file? Will you file a civil case or a criminal case? It's left to you. You want, there's another ground of difference between civil case and criminal case. So what is that? In a civil case, if you file a civil case and win the civil case, you get the remedy in form of compensation for the loss you have suffered. So let's assume I've hacked your system and I've stolen a file from your system, and let's assume that file is worth say 1 lakh rupees. Okay, so you'll go to the court, you win the case. Court will ask me to pay 1 lakh to you because you lost 1 lakh rupee because of my civil wrong. So court will ask me to compensate you. So this is called as compensation. So when you file a civil case and win a civil case, you get compensation as the remedy. But when you file a criminal case, if you notice 65, what are the punishments? It's fine or imprisonment or both. Okay, so in criminal case, the object is to punish me, the wrongdoer. In a civil case, the object is to compensate you, the victim. Okay, so you want compensation, go to civil court. You're not bothered about money compensation, go to criminal court, file a criminal case on. You want both, you can file both. There's no bar in filing both the cases. Okay, some of you might have heard about a principle called as principle of double jeopardy. What does this mean? You can't file repeatedly cases again and again on me. Would that mean you can't file civil and criminal? No, both are different. Both can be filed. But you can't file again and again same criminal case for the same offense. For example, you try me for murder, but I get acquitted. Again, you can't file another murder case on me for the same offense. Okay, so that is barred because Constitution of India says that a person cannot be jeopardized again and again with second time and frequent, prosecutions. But civil and criminal are different, so that can be done. Coming to the third option, sometimes the same offense is also covered under other law, like as rightly pointed out through the question, IPR law, copyright law. Source codes are nothing but literary programs. And using your literary program without your permission is an infringement of copyright. Now, under the Copyright Act, you have some sections which are civil, some sections which are criminal. Okay, so there again, you want compensation, file a civil case. You want me to be imprisoned, you file a criminal case. So it's left to you. Okay, so now let's come back to source code. So for source code, now you have 4 options. Filing a criminal case under IT Act under section 65, filing a civil case under IT Act, filing a criminal case under Copyright Act, filing a civil case under Copyright Act. So you can do any of this. Now, criminal case under IT Act, criminal case under Copyright Act, both are same remedies. So why do you do it twice? So in those cases, One possible option is that you file a case together. You can say so-and-so section of Copyright Act read with so-and-so section of ITAL, so that it is all togetherly tried by the court. So that there is no question of double jeopardy. Now you may have another question. What is compensation? Compensation is usually by paying you and compensating your loss. So what is that? Means usually it is money that I pay when I'm found guilty by a civil court. It's actually not, guilty is not the right word under the law, but just for understanding, I'm using this word. So if you find that I've committed civil wrong, court will ask me to pay money as compensation to you. Or let's assume I've taken your property illegally. You file a civil case, you win it. So I have to give you back that property. Okay. Now coming back to say civil criminal law, fine is also money. So your question can be like, then what is the difference between fine and compensation? So any answer to this? What is the difference between fine and compensation? Both are money, right? So when, like now in Bangalore, not wearing say face mask, they are putting fine. So I'm paying money only there. So the difference is compensation is paid to the victim. So I am asked to pay you that 1 lakh rupee that you lost. Exactly. Fine goes to the state. So it is collected by the state. Very good. So then nowadays, however, in some criminal matters, they started paying compensation also to victim under some criminal matters. See, because otherwise people were criticizing that in India, victim is not the focus under criminal justice system. Victim doesn't get compensation. So in 2009, we amended our criminal procedure code. So now, we give compensation if the victim wants. But who gives? It's not from the fine. It is given by the state generally. Example, in Karnataka, we have a scheme called Victim Compensation Scheme. So whenever an offense under IPC is committed, I go register an FIR. I have to take the copy of the FIR, go to legal services cleaning. So they give the compensation. See, compensation is very meager. For example, it's around 25,000 for rape, like that. So different states have different compensation fixed. But that's just because, they wanted to compensate the victim. But otherwise, in criminal law, accused is not generally made to pay compensation to the victim. That is again up to 2018. 2018, again, we amended CRPC. So now some offenses against women, like sexual assault and all. In those cases, accused can be asked to compensate the victim now. But that's all like exceptions. But otherwise, criminal law, it is fine, which goes to the state. They may later use it for compensating. Civil law, it's only compensation. So that's the difference between the two. Any other questions?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, ma'am. In the
Yes.
beginning of the session, you mentioned that most of the time the organization, like when they have been attacked by a cyber attackers, they may hesitate to file a complaint because of they may lose their reputation. So this is one thing, ma'am. Because is there any provision to maintain the confidentiality? Because once an organization is compromised, one either directly or indirectly, the other stakeholders will get affected. If they don't file a complaint, so in future the stakeholders will be in trouble, and also it will motivate the cyber attackers to commit some more attacks since they have not received any punishment.
Right. Yeah. See, it's a very, very complicated question. On one hand, it's about privacy, confidentiality of the victim, a very, very genuine concern. On the other hand, if you filed a criminal case on me, I as an accused should know what that case is all about, right? At least to me, you should reveal. When I'm called to the police station, I should know for what case I'm called and who has filed that case. So that extent of revealing to me should happen. So now what has happened is at least nowadays the trend is, so if there is a document that which goes online, so they are at least hiding the names of, especially when women or children are victim, they're hiding the names of the women and the children also. It's not disclosed. Okay, so that is required. And CRPC has a section which says that especially offenses against women, and then similarly for children, other laws provide the same principle provision. So it says their name should not be revealed. Okay, so which means on documents my name will be there, but when the documents are released in public domain, the name should not go. That's one issue. So that is what happens within the police station and all that, courts and all. But unfortunately today what's happening is that media reveals it, right? So I know sometimes I clearly remember one sexual assault case on a child, a 6-year-old child that happened in a reputed international school in Bangalore. So they were saying the child is of that age, in that class, in that section, from that school, of that area. What more you need to reveal the identity of a child? And more than that, they started saying father works in so-and-so company. Indirectly, you're revealing. And today, privacy is nothing but any information with which, or any information in combination with other information with which you can identify me. See, maybe you're not saying Nagaratna, but if you're saying a teacher, a lady of around so-and-so year old from Bangalore, who's a Kannadiga, so you're revealing everything except name. So it's indirectly they're revealing. So that is the concern. And today, personal data protection law, it's there, but it's not very comprehensive, and it's not taken seriously. And however, PDP bill, I'm sure all of you have heard about PDP bill. It's very soon going to be implemented, personal data protection bill. So once that law comes, so maybe it will be more taken seriously. I think it has to be a part of our cultural fact. Even now, the first thing that elders in South India, at least, ask is which caste are you from? What is your religion? At least the caste is so easily asked, and these are nothing but personally sensitive questions, right? So I think it should become a habit of ours, and there is need of more sensitization. Coming to our domain as teachers, so maximum I should know which student has come from rural area, from urban area, but the extent of data we collect, family income of that child, what parents are doing, the caste, yes, this you need for admission. It shouldn't come to the classroom. It shouldn't be made known to the teacher, right? You and I may be good, but there might be possibility of secluding that student or discriminating that student. That's the reason why privacy is important today, not just because these are data which are commercially valuable, but otherwise it will have its own implication. Now, coming back to this case, as you have rightly said, revealing this can lead to further victimization of victim, more attacks on victim. So that's the concern. And we've seen how many times witnesses are attacked in the open court premises. Witness protection, victim protection, it's more than privacy. So therefore, yes, we need to have a law that should take care of all this, but it's a very complicated question. The last thing I would want to say and end the session and take a break is today, even if it is a civil case, let's assume I file a civil case on you and it goes to the court. Every record of court is on computer today because of e-governance. It's necessary. It facilitates because lawyers can see when their case is coming and all that. So it's easier. Parties can know when their case is coming. But if you Google and if you're able to get this on Google, then what about our privacy? So there was one case, there are many cases like this, but one at least went till the High Court. It was a matrimonial dispute between husband and wife, some family issues, case was filed. And then, they settled the matter. Husband and wife are now happily living. But even now, when you type that person's name, all his case details will come on Google. So he went to High Court asking High Court to issue stay order. This is so hard to, stop because it's on Google. And how do you go and stop it? You stop it on Google, there are other websites where, maybe links are available, copies are available. So I can say privacy to an extent is a myth on cyberspace, unfortunately. So more concerned when it is about victims of cyber crimes. Okay, so let's take break and come back. Thank you.
Dear participants, if you have any question and answer this session, you can ask or you can keep those queries at least you can carry to the next session. Or if you want any of your participants wants to interact with madam, you can kindly interact with madam for 5 minutes.
Okay.
Dear participants, you have no questions? Okay. Madam, we'll rejoin at 12 o'clock, madam.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, participants. The next session starts at 12 o'clock.